Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Vic and I'm the founder for Design for Ecom. And in this series of videos, I'm going to be teaching you how to skyrocket your online sales by using proper professional branding. And I'm also going to teach you how to use Photoshop for graphic design. First of all, thank you all so much for the attention. Thank you for subscribing to the training. And I hope everybody learns a lot from this. Originally, I was planning on making one long 30-minute or 40-minute video. But then I realized it's going to be too hard to actually consume and learn from a really long video because I'm going to be teaching a lot of stuff. I'm going to give you out a lot of free value. So I'm actually going to split this into 3 videos. This first video, which is going to be about logo design, I'm going to upload on Sunday. The next video, which is going to be about website homepages, I'm going to upload it on Tuesday. And then the last video, which is going to be about social media posts and ads, I'm going to be uploading it on Thursday. So don't miss out. Keep an eye out on your inbox, because if you don't, you're going to miss out a lot of free value and a lot of information that could literally cost you a lot of sales online. Another thing is, if you guys want to reach me or shoot me a DM, you can go to @designforecom on Instagram, and you can ask me any questions you want. And I will be sure to try to answer every single DM. I'm also planning on doing some live Q&As to answer any questions about design or Photoshop, or even about me if you want. So if you want to be notified by that, you go to Instagram or you go to our page, Design for Ecom, and then you click follow where there's a little checkbox there, and then you go to notifications and then live events or something like that. So let's go straight to the training. So, okay, starting out, this is my logo and my branding for Design for Ecom, and I'm going to be teaching you how to make similar stuff to this. But one thing that a lot of people forget to do when they're making online businesses is actually having a really strong and professional presentation. Like, for example, this is a gym logo that I made, PowerFlex. This is not a real brand, but it looks like a real brand because it is properly branded. And I've created the logos, the colors, I've created basically everything. So this is how you professionally present your brand to the world. Instead of using just a simple font or something, you actually have to put a lot of effort into it, because it really brings results. If you focus on actually branding your website and actually making something really, really powerful presentation-wise, it's going to bring you a lot of results, and it's going to make every single cent of your ad spend worth it. So what you're going to learn from this free training is completely worth it. Like, we're going to be teaching you a lot of stuff, and in the end, it is all going to give you results. And it's something really crazy that I see, because people like to spend thousands and thousands on PPC ads, and they don't take their time to actually correctly brand and correctly design a strong looking website, because they're going to compete with so many people. Honestly, if your customer takes one look at this and takes a look at your other competitors' websites, you're going to win all the time. Like, I'm serious. If you have a really strong branding like this, your customer is going to take one look at you, another look at your competitors, and it's going to choose you 100% of the time. So it is completely worth it to learn this skill, because you're going to spend a lot on Fiverr designers. And Fiverr designers, most of them won't even make something half as good as this. So you're getting absolutely so much free value from this. It's insane. So now we're going to be teaching you how to create logos. And this is really, really fun, and it's really cool, because I'm going to be teaching you in 2 ways in each videos. I'm going to take one of the logos that I've created, and I'm going to tell you all of the strategies and the psychologies I used and why I chose certain decisions when making the logos. And we're also going to create one from scratch. So it's going to be really, really cool. Okay, so for this first logo, which is the PowerFlex logo that I showed you, it's only 6 layers. So this is not complex at all. Okay, so let's hide all of these layers. And the first layer that I put, I always make a gradient. So gradients it's just essential. I want you to find one brand out there and go to the website that doesn't use gradients. insane. Gradients are very professional and they're very easy to make. So to make your gradient, you have, if you just launched Photoshop normally, you're gonna have it right here, which is a gradient tool. And to select the gradient tool, you obviously click here. But if you hold this down, you have a paint bucket tool. Now, if you are familiar with other photo editing tools, you're gonna know that paint bucket is really, really useful. Not like that, but if you create new layers and you just wanna fill out, it's really, really useful, and you find them basically on every single image editing. But we're gonna select this one. So we just press it down, hold it, and then we let go on which tool we want. So we're gonna choose this one. And now what we're gonna do is, I wanna obviously make a new layer. And up here, we're gonna have a gradient editor. And we can choose from various gradients here, or we can make our own one, which it's what we're gonna do now. So I'm gonna make a random one. This is not ideal if you wanna get... Okay, yeah, we can mix two weird colors like this. It is very common to see brands mixing a bunch of colors like this. And then you add this image, which I'm gonna show you right now. So after adding your gradient, which I'm not gonna recommend you put this color. Please don't add horrendous colors like this. Choose two of them. These are actually the Instagram colors, the kind of orangish and the purple one. So even Instagram uses gradients. I mean, every brand uses gradients. But for the purpose of the gym one, I chose a very light blue and a very dark blue, and it's kind of very smoothly transitioned, which is something that you can do. You can select one color, one light color, and then select a darker version of that one, which is where I did here. But you can also select two very different colors and join them up together. But I chose blue because gym is a very... If you look at other gym brands, you see them using blue a lot. And there's a lot of psychological reasons for that, but we're not going to go through all of that because it's actually very long and pretty boring. But we're going to use blue because it's a very feel-good kind of color. You go on a website with a nice blue color and you feel safe there, which is a little bit of color psychology kind of in short. But what I do next is I actually put what I like to call a texture image on top. This is to add more detail to it. So what I did here is I actually have just a white vector background. If you search up on Google white vector backgrounds, you can get a bunch of free ones. This one is for free. You make sure it's a white background. Why? Because we're going to use some blending options right here. So beside the opacity, we have the blending options here. So on normal, it's going to show the image as normal. But if we put to darken, it's not going to show. And if we use the arrow keys, we can play around with this. So it's going to kind of change how the image is being rendered on the layer. So the one that we liked the most, which was, I think, not darker color. It was this one, linear burn. And it's what mostly you're going to use for white background images, is linear burn. And then it kind of projects himself and it blends in with your gradient, which is really cool. And next what we're going to do is we're going to select and create a text. And for power flex, I wanted to split power and flex and have power a more bigger font so it can kind of portray the power element of it. In flex, it's a much more straight font. There's no curves on this font because it's showing in typography, when you have straighter fonts and with no curves, it's more professional in the sense of when you have too much curves, it comes out as too family, too kind of childish. So when you select very straight and clean fonts, it comes off as more professional and even more futuristic sometimes. So this is what I did. And to do this, if you want to have two fonts in one text, so let's do font 1, font 2. Let's create this over here. And then we're going to increase the size. And then we're going to select the first font like this. And I don't know, let's do this one. And then you select this other one and put whatever other font you want. Obviously, this is amazing. And I recommend everybody do this for their store. Please pick this font and this font. Guaranteed $1 million overnight. I can guarantee it. Now, when you select your font, make sure it kind of makes sense with the psychology. So, for example, if I select Power, and we're gonna have a very weak font, it doesn't display power. If when we want to display something like with Power, we want something very bold, something very strengthy. You know, I don't know if that word exists, but now it does. And then what I like to do is I also like to add the slogan down here. So the same font that I used for Flex, I used it for the slogan on the bottom. And that's something that you're going to find a lot. When you're designing websites and when you're designing something with brand, you want to keep it very simple. You don't want to choose so many colors. I wouldn't recommend more than 3 colors. What we have here is we have a dark blue, a light blue, and white. That's it. You don't need anything else. And for fonts, it's the same. You don't want more than 3 fonts. I chose 2 because the less fonts you have, the more professional it looks. And now what I did here is I actually... okay, so for this logo, what I did is I actually imported 2 images. I actually traced this from one image, which was the energy symbol. I traced it with the pen tool, which is this one right here. You trace it with the pen tool. But the original one was a lot more curvy. So I was like, I want to display less curves and more straightness. For this one, we want to project the same professional and the same futuristic, sleek vibe we have from the Flex font. So make sure that everything is congruent. If your logo is too curvy, but then your fonts are too straight, it doesn't seem like it's the same brand. So that's why I took an image, put it on the back of the energy symbol, and then I traced it, made it more hexagony to make it look more futuristic. And then what I used are some masks over here. So let me disable this layer mask. This was the original one. And then I applied a layer mask by, let me do an example, not here, but on here. I'm going to apply a layer mask over here. So we're going to select the font and select this. And now if I get the brush tool and we have a black brush selected, we can basically like fade it out or even other crazy stuff. So if we select this, you can do a lot with masks and it's really, really, really cool to do. But then what I did is I created a mask where I traced around the hand, and to make the hand, I got another reference image and then I made the pen tool on top of it. And then I selected the hand and I kind of cropped out the part of the hand so it looks very congruent and it looks like it's one logo. So without the hand, this is what it looks like. And if I disable the layer mask, I made this selection over here that you can see in the middle. And then I created a mask so it doesn't show that part. And it gives some space for the hand. So I place it in the middle. I know it's very... At first, it looks a bit confusing, but honestly, it's really, really simple. So this is the psychology I use for this logo. So for the hand, I wanted to... The hand and the lightning bolt image, it's kind of to show power, you know, to represent power. And when you're flexing, you also have your hand closed like this. So it all should be very congruent when you're making your logo. And now, if that was a bit confusing, you can rewind the video and watch it again. I really recommend, and take some notes as well. But now we're going to actually make a logo from scratch. So let's select a random product, and I'm going to show you the psychology I used to create a logo for it. Okay, now for the logo creation part, now we're going to create one from scratch. And we're going to create this one over here. I'm going to show you step by step on how I do this. So I'm going to create a new file with 200 height and 200 width, 72 resolution. And what we're going to do is we're going to import our product, which our $1 million winning product is going to be this one. And what is it? It is a outdoor emergency kit. So I'm really not sure if this is a winning product. You can test it if you want, but I found this on thief.co. You can look for it and find it. Now, first thing we're going to do is going to put a gradient. So I already have my gradient here, but how I made my gradient is I just selected the light part of the product image and then the dark part. If your product has two colors, like either a blue or a red, you can merge them together and have blue on one side, red on the other side. Just try a bunch of things out and see what works best, because remember, graphic design is very trial and error. You're rarely going to get things working on the go, like first try. And that's even with me. That's even I that works every day with graphic design. It's always trial and error. Okay, so I went to one corner, dragged it to the other one. My preference is always go to the top left and go to the bottom right, but you can do any of the ways. You can even do it like this. It all just depends on what you like most. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the text. Now, for this text, what I did is I found this extreme one, headliner number 45. If you want to find a bunch of free fonts, you can come over here to dafont.com, and there's a bunch of fonts here, and you can just search whatever you want. Now I chose this font, and then I chose the Love Story Rough. I know the name doesn't seem like it it works well, but visually it works well. Outdoor emergency kit. We want, because it's a kind of like a medical kit, a very mini medical kit that you take around to, I don't know, hiking, climb mountains. So we want a very secure and maybe curvy kind of font. So this bottom one here, outdoor emergency kit, is the same font as fit. Okay, so the next thing I did is I went to file and place, and I'm going to place a texture image, but this texture image, it's actually going to be a photo, an image. It's not going to be a bunch of designs or a bunch of vectors. I'm going to choose a photo. We're going to select this photo right here, and we're going to Shift Alt, drag it so it fits the screen. And now, how do we make it so it's overlaying on top of the gradient? We can try overlay as a blending option here. Soft light. It really just depends on you which one looks best. Obviously this one looks the best, and it's gonna generate $100 million overnight. But you need to see. Maybe this luminosity one works best. And then you just reduce the opacity. That looks good. Now, next what I want to do is I want to add another texture image to make even a bit more detailed. But you don't have to place this many texture images. I'm just doing it for this case only. I'm going to select this one. increase the size, rotate it. Okay, and now in this one, we're gonna select color burn. Looks pretty good. Multiply, darken. We're probably gonna put color burn and then reduce the opacity a little bit. One thing I also like to do is maybe in the center, so it can give more focus. You select your crystal white vector one. Click down here to create a mask. And then the brush, press B to go to the brush tool. Make it a black brush. Make it very large. And then the hardness, put it to 0, so it's no hard. And then just click twice right in the middle. So as you see, it kind of just blends in the middle and it gives a bit more focus and it doesn't cut in the middle, which is what this image does a lot, which is the pattern it does. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to create a logo. Now, this logo, I created a mountain because it's extreme. And then the fit part, I put a medical cross, the Red Cross symbol. So how did I create the mountain? I didn't get an icon, but you can get icons if you want. I created a new layer. I went here to pen. Click this side and then this side. Holding shift. When you hold shift, you can do straight lines with the pen tool. But it's only vertical and horizontal, I think. Oh yeah, and diagonal too. And then what I did is I kind of traced a mountain. So I can't remember how I 100% did it, but then I close the vector path over here. I select the pink bucket tool and I make it white. Okay, that's good enough. We don't want to spend too much time on this. Now I'm just gonna place it over here. And how we're gonna make the cross, it's very easy. We can get either a cross icon or something like that, but it's so easy. We're gonna make it with shapes or even with selections. Let's make it with selections. So we're gonna make one shape like this. Maybe Control T, make it a little thinner. Deselect it, right click it, duplicate it, and then Control T again, hold Shift, and then rotate it to the side. And then select both the layers by clicking one of them, Control or Command, and then click the other layer, right click it, merge layers. Now they're one with the layers. Now, one way to make it hollow, because we're not going to be able to put it like this, we're going to make it hollow, is we're going to right click it, blending options. We are going to use stroke, opacity on 100, size, I'm going to make it with size 8, and then here, the blending options, we're going to put multiply. And then I'm just going to size it a bit more. This looks good. It's a simple logo. I just want to make it a bit thicker. Make it very thick right here. Yeah, that looks much better. So yeah, that's how I made this right here. And with the text, you can fine-tune the text more if you select here and have this character part, but most of you guys won't have it. So I'll just go here to Window, Character, and then you have it here. And then you can either stretch it, you can make it more distant, and there's a lot of things to play around. So yeah, that's it. This is the logo creation part. I hope you understood the psychologies and how I implement logo creation for each one. It really depends on the product. So some products could be a bit harder to create this kind of identity for it. But in this case, it was reasonably okay. Okay, so for the next video that's going to be available on Tuesday, we're going to talk about website homepage images. Now, if you look over here to the left, this is what a homepage site looks like correctly branded. It looks really cool. It doesn't even look like it's made from Shopify. That's when you're really hitting the mark, you know? And this over here is the first image that you get, but with different kinds of brands and different kinds of feel. You can get, like, here is more general. This one is the gym one. This one is the pet one. This one is a tech one. And this one is a women's one. You can get it, you can make it for any niche possible. It's really, really cool. And you don't want to miss this out because your homepage is very, very important. Even though your gurus don't tell you it's too important because you're going to send them to the product page, it is extremely important because when they see your homepage, they're going to know you're pretty legit. So can't wait to see you guys next video. Hope you guys learned a lot from this. You can rewind anything that you've missed, and feel free to send me any questions. I'll try to answer every single question through my DMs or through email. And yeah, take this spare day to create some designs on your own. And I'll see you guys Tuesday.